And hello, my students. This is your favorite teacher, Mr. Jacobson. I'm excited to be with you. This is it. This is the last and final webcast of the school year. I know you're all saddened that these wonderful moments of us coming together and learning about history is about to come to a close for your seventh grade year, but it's that's the way it has to be. Uh, it's been wonderful being able to have and do history with you, the seventh grade medieval history. It's been fun, and it's been a pleasure to have all of you. So, let us begin. We're going to talk about the Counter-Reformation. Counter-Reformation basically involves the Catholic Church. So, the Catholic Church had a lot of people just push back at them saying, hey, we don't like the way you're doing things. We think you're corrupt. We think that you're doing things that aren't even in the Bible anymore. And a lot of people are breaking away. Now, the Catholic Church has two choices. They could just keep doing what they're doing and have more people break away, or they could try to change or reform themselves and try to encourage people to come back to the church. So that is what the Counter-Reformation means, is that this is the Catholic Church's response to the Protestant Reformation. So, the Counter-Reformation of the Catholic Church began with the Council of Trent, or at Trent, held between 1545 to 1563. The council began under Pope Paul III and continued through the papacies of Pope Julius III and Pope Pius IV. The council addressed specific issues such as the corruption of church leaders, the issuance of indulgences, and other illegal activities within the church. The Counter-Reformation brought about large-scale institutional reform in the Catholic Church. The Council of Constance was called by the German king Sigismund in Germany to end the Western Schism. The election of Pope Martin V brought unity to the Catholic Church. The Spanish Inquisition happened as well. So the church the church is they're getting weary of other people who aren't Catholic, even if they live in the country that they're strong in. And Spain is a very predominant Catholic country. So the Spanish Inquisition happened. It was a religious tribunal established to enforce Catholic orthodoxy in the Spanish Empire. It was founded by Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile in 1492 and not abolished until 1834 under Isabella II. Jews and non-Catholic Christians were most often questioned by the Inquisition. Conversos were Jews living as Christians but still privately adhering to Jewish faith. More than 13,000 conversos were put on trial during the first 12 years of Spanish Inquisition. So basically the Spanish Inquisition was, look, if you're a Jew or a Muslim or a non-Catholic of any kind, we're kicking you out. And if we suspect you of lying to us or not being who you say you are, we're going to hold a trial and we're going to get to the truth of it. And so a lot of people, including Jews, they were just forced to leave. And they weren't, and the Spanish Inquisition wasn't nice about it. It was basically they were trying to purify Spain so that it was all Catholic and they didn't have to worry about any kind of uprising like they had in France, Germany, England, etc. Those accused of heresy were sentenced in a ritual called auto de fe, which is act of faith. Those found guilty were tortured, had their property confiscated, and often killed. All the Jews of Spain were expelled from the empire. So we have the French Wars of Religion. When Protestantism arrived in France during the reign of Francis I, following the death of Francis I, the monarchy became unstable until the reign of Charles IX. So Francis the First, then you have Henry the Second. He marries a girl by the name of Catherine, and Catherine, I think her name's Catherine. Let me see, is it Catherine de Medici? It is. Okay, so Catherine, and then he dies, and his son is supposed to take the crown next. That son dies, and then Charles the Ninth is supposed to take the crown, and Catherine, who's his mother's, gonna have to rule because he's just too young right now. So Catherine de Medici will be the one, and she's related to Lorenzo de Medici of Florence. So Catherine de Medici served as regent, meaning she was one that ruled until her son comes of age. And then we have, of course, the massacre of Vassy, in which 1562 occurred when French troops murdered unarmed Huguenots worshipping in the church. And the Edict of Amboise, offered by Catherine of 1563, gave the Huguenots limited freedom. So one thing that the Huguenots wanted, which, by the way, the Huguenots were a group of people who were followers of Calvin, so John Calvin, and these people, they wanted to be able to worship God the way they saw fit. They had some pretty powerful people on their side. The problem is that the king felt, or Catherine felt, that the more power the Huguenots or freedoms the Huguenots got, it would take more power away from the king, and so Catherine opposed them at every point, including to the point where she ordered French troops to murder them, and they're not going to go away that easily. So here we have the second and third religion marked the second of the French wars. Through the Protestants lost the commander of the French army, was killed in battle. So they're still having battles, the Huguenots and the rest. However, the Huguenots are putting up a pretty good fight. They're killing some major leaders in the French army. And then this is the most famous of all the massacres for the Huguenots. On St. Bartholomew's Day massacre of 1572 was the result of Roman Catholic violence against the Huguenots during the French Wars of Religion. I believe I think on the next one, it is. So before the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, King Charles the Ninth, who is now older, his mother ruled in his stead for a little bit. Now he's an older man. He is said to have ordered, kill them all." Speaking about the Huguenots, and you can see some of the pictures here of the Huguenots who were just lying dead on the ground. How many were killed? Did it say? I think it was about 6,000, if my memory serves me right. So about 6,000 Huguenots were slaughtered in the town square. We had the War of the Three Henries, was the final conflict, the War of Religions. The Day of the Barricades was an uprising against the Catholic League in Paris against policies of Henry III. Henry III had Henry I of Guise, leader of the Catholic League, assassinated. The Catholic League forced Henry III to flee Paris. He was assassinated while on the run. Apparently, it was a bad time to be Henry and a ruler at that time. But that just goes to show you about the constant unrest that's going on during this time, especially when it came to establishing some kind of a traditional leader for the Catholic Church in that country. We have the Edict of Nantes. It gave the significant rights to the Huguenots and led to a period of religious toleration. So there was an edict given where they said, "All right, Huguenots, if you can't beat them, we'll let you be who you are. We'll let you be Protestants. We'll let you worship God the way you want. We're tired of fighting." So that's pretty much happened with the Edicts of Nantes. So the Huguenot rebellions were led by Henry de Rohan after the death of Henry IV. During the First Huguenot Rebellion, the Huguenots battled with royal troops at the siege of Montauban in 1621. They lost the siege of Negra Palese, which royal troops massacred everyone. And here we have the second one where they led to the defeat of the Huguenot navy. So the Huguenots are still putting up a fight. Let me see here. So that's 15. So I suppose it gave significant rights to the Huguenots, but it wasn't enough. They wanted more because they're still fighting. Anyway, the Third Huguenot Rebellion were supported by English troops under the command of Duke Buckingham. Now the English are really using it to their advantage about the Huguenot rebellion, and so they're actually fueling the Huguenots to keep fighting the French because the English and the French weren't very good friends this time. The intervention led to the Anglo-French War. The Huguenots were defeated, losing their military and political power in France. English defeated at Saint Martin de Ré. So now we're on to the Edict of Fontainebleau. It was issued by Louis XIV of France, revoking the Edict of Nantes in 1598. Louis XIV persecuted the Huguenots, forcing them to give quarters to French troops who often terrorized the families. Basically, if you know your American history, that was also forced by the American colonists as well, is that they were forced to give up their house to soldiers so they could also live there. So if a soldier wanted to live in a house, that was their right to do so, and there was nothing that the person could say about it. So French is basically doing the same thing they did to the English to the colonists a few years later. Let's see here. Huguenot Exodus. So in 1685, King Louis XIV made Protestantism illegal in France. Hundreds of thousands of Huguenots fled France to England, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, Prussia. So that's it. Um, the Protestant movement is now kind of shut down in France. They've been forced out, which many other nations will then have to receive them. Huguenots fleeing France also sailed to the New World, seeking a new life in North America, the Caribbean, and Brazil. Others sought refuge in the Dutch colonies in New Holland and South Africa. 30 Years' War was fought between most of the countries of Europe. Naval battles were fought over possessions of overseas colonies. The 30 Years' War resulted in massive destruction of populated areas due to fighting between armies and looting of civilian populations by soldiers, as well as widespread famine and disease. And that's that. So we're gonna end over there at the 30 Years' War, which was a war that included pretty much all the nations of Europe. And anyway, so go ahead and write your one-page summary, and remember that this summary is worth double the points, so it'll be 60 points. We're coming down to the close. You got about 11, 12 days left, so let's finish hard, let's finish strong, and we'll see you at the first of the week. Bye bye.